Alright, March is coming and it's time to fertilize. Now, I've made many videos on when to fertilize and how, and if that's what you're looking for, I will link that below. This video is going to be on how much fertilizer to use, because I get that question a lot. People are really unsure to figure out what to put their spreader setting at, how much to use, and all of that. That's what this video is going to be about, because March is coming, and for most of us, warm season, even the end of February, March, and April is going to be the time to apply that spring fertilizer. Now remember, if you're looking about what to use and when, I tell you exactly for your zone when in the video I will link, and it'll pop up on the screen. So you can check that video out. But if you want to know how much of the fertilizer to use, this is the video for you. Now, two big fertilizers I recommend is a 16-4-8 and a 24-0-11. I think they're both great fertilizers, and I'm not super brand specific, but there's really only a few brands out there. I'm not targeting a brand. I like to see around a 16-4-8, a 24-2-11, 24-0-11, just twice as much nitrogen as there is potassium, and I really don't like going over 24% nitrogen, which is that first number. So I have a lot more videos about that, but this is going to be on how much to use. I'm going to go over the two bags, because these are my most recommended springtime fertilizers for our warm season turf grass. Now, the first one is from the Andersons, the 16-4-8 fertilizer. This happens to have humic in it. This is a little bit of an expensive product, but it's really good. A lot of micronutrients, humic acid, big benefits to it. Now, the great thing is, now if you're confused by the bags, a lot of times you can come and just type it in, find the website, and they'll give you a ton more information. Like here, the spreader settings it has. So it has all these different brands of spreaders, and it tells you low rate and high rate and exactly where to be at. That's not going to probably be on the label. It might be, but you can find it on their website. If you know you want to use this fertilizer, you can make sure you get that spreader so you have the rates there, as simple as can be. This is awesome to have. Now, a lot of things won't have that, but what they will have, especially if you look on the bag, is the biggest thing is the weight to how many square feet. So this is an 18-pound bag that covers 5,000 square feet. Now, luckily, this bag tells you more. Again, actually, look at this. The spreader settings are on the bag, which is awesome. And it tells you want to use 3.6 pounds per 1,000 square feet. And that's just of straight fertilizer. So the next thing to know is how much area are you fertilizing? The next best thing is Google Earth. You can measure your lawn on Google Earth. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect. We're measuring per 1,000 square feet. So this is a great source to use to measure out your lawn. Now you just go to Google Earth, you find your lawn. So look, at the top left here is the measuring tool. Once you click that, I'm just gonna measure out simply this backyard. You just click points. I wouldn't do the whole yard at once. I would do it in sections and then add it up. So I'm just doing fence to fence, and then it starts in meters, I always believe, and then you just go to feet. Right here, square feet. So this backyard is 7,550 square feet. So this bag wouldn't even cover the whole backyard. So you wouldn't know. Now, let's go to the 24-0-11 here. This is a Lesco brand product. This is great. This is a 50-pound bag, and the price is a lot cheaper because it doesn't have humic and all those extra things in it. Has some iron in it, a little bit of magnesium, still a great fertilizer to use. Nothing wrong with it. Now, again, this tells you right here, I'm sure it tells you on the bag, but if you're not sure, you can go right here, and it tells you a 50-pound bag covers 12,000 square feet. So with our backyard, knowing it's 7,550 and this covers 12,000 square feet, we're going to use just more than half a bag on the backyard. I like to tell people you want to break the bag down into quarters. Quarter of a bag, half a bag, 3/4, full bag. That's kind of the best way to do it, because it will be hard to measure and be exact. And then now this one, from what I see, doesn't have that spreader chart. So then you're gonna go, well, what do I set on the spreader? Now, what I like to do is the spreader should ideally have a guide. And here's one thing about spreaders. If you're a DIY homeowner and you're doing this consistently, buy yourself a better spreader. This crappy turf builder, the Scott's Turf Builders ones, don't waste your money. Spend $150 to $300 on a spreader. Yes, I know, but these things are made to spread accurately, and it's important. At these cheap prices, these are the hardest spreaders to use. I see it all the time where homeowners stripe their yard, and I tested myself. It was hard for me not to stripe a yard using these Scott's Turf Builders spreaders. Using a spreader, once you're used to it, it's not difficult. I have a video on how to use it, but it can be, and we don't need to make it harder than it already is. So go ahead and get yourself a spreader, and like I see, from what I find, this spreader quality, about $150 to $300 is where you want to be. A hand spreader is a great tool as well to get small areas. Even though this is cheap, that's fine. Hand spreaders work awesome. See, look, this one's $635. This is what a professional would use. You're not using it that much, so you don't need to spend that much. But now what I would recommend is this spreader should come with a sheet or a chart, or you can look it up on how much it spreads. It'll tell you the setting to maybe how many 1,000 square feet it covers. Now if it doesn't, that's still okay. What I like to tell people is you want to get used to get to know your spreader. Start off on a low number. Let's say your spreader goes from 1 to 15. I would start off at 4 and then find out how much area you need to cover. So, like, let's say this bag, it covers, what do we say? This bag covers 12,000 square feet. This backyard is 7,500. So we want to use a bit more than half the bag. So I would go on a very low setting, again, if you have 15, I would go on a setting of like 4 or 5, and then spread and push this backyard and cover the whole thing and see how much you have left. Okay, you still have more, do it again, because you can't pick it back up, but you can put more down. And as you would just go, okay, I went over the yard twice. I don't think that equates to you can use twice as much on the spreader, but next time I would write down that you use that. You had to go over the lawn twice, and I would adjust. Next year I would do, or next time you fertilize, I would do 6 or 7, 8 or 9, and eventually you'll find, and once you find it's not going to ever be perfect, you may always be, have a little bit more in there, and that's fine. We're not looking exact. We're looking very close. Remember, per 1,000 square feet, a few pounds here and there, less is going to be better, but you can always add more later. But you want to find a good number that can cover, these areas. So that's how I would do it. It's a little trial and error, but if you start on the lower number, you'll never make the mistake of burning or damaging the turf. So that's the best way to go about it. And yeah, you'll have to write it down and keep a little chart and keep track. It's a little bit of work, but it's temporary because once you figure it out, it's done. You found the setting that works for you and you're good to go. Or you can find a fertilizer with a spreader setting, the spreader that has a setting chart on how many pounds per 1,000 and all that. So there's many ways to go about it. Don't let all these numbers and all these things scare you. It's very simple. Every bag is going to tell you how many square feet it covers. And now that you can simply measure your lawn and know your lawn square footage, you can run the math from there. Depending and figuring out how much you need, and then over time you can learn your spreader settings. If you have any questions about this, leave them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer. Now, if you want to get really nerdy with it, it can, because the bags are telling you the overall weight and the recommend, so you don't need to go. But if you really want to know how many pounds of nitrogen you're using per year or per 1,000 square feet, there's a formula to figure this out. And this is the best example I found of it. That keeps it very simple. This gets, like I said, this gets a bit nerdy. I don't think most people want to, but for the real, true, hardcore people who want to know how many pounds of each nutrient they're putting down, this is it. So if you have a bag that's a 15, 20, 10, So you're going to multiply 10 by 0.15. So you're multiplying the weight of the bag by 0.15, which is the percent of nitrogen, which equals 7.5. So there's 7.5 pounds of actual nitrogen in this 50-pound bag. Again, if this is going over your head, don't even worry about this. Stick with what I said before, because that's really all you need to know, and the bags give you that information. So same thing with phosphorus is a 20. Multiply 50 by 0.20, which equals 10. And then for the potassium, multiply 50 by 10, which equals 5. So a 50-pound bag of 1520 10 fertilizer contains a total of 22 pounds of nutrients. That's all of them together. 7.5 pounds of nitrogen, 10 pounds of phosphorus, and 5 pounds of potassium, leaving us with 27.5 pounds of filler. So, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's if you really want to know. The main thing, the most important thing is knowing how much nitrogen you're using, and this can, now then you have to add the square footage and all that in, but this is the formula that can tell you how much actual nitrogen you are using. And that's how you figure out on these bags of fertilizer how much fertilizer to use. Let's not overthink it. Start in small areas. Start with the spreader. We can do it. If you have any questions, leave it below. Email me at turforganics904@gmail.com. I'm happy to answer any questions, set up my online consultations, or if you're interested in DIY kit that gives you everything for pest, fungus, and you need for a whole year for weeds, pests, all that, all written out, measured out, and helps you use it. So it's perfect for DIYers getting started, getting used to these products. They're pre-measured and everything like that. Just email me here if you're interested. Thank you so much for watching the video, and have a great rest of your day.